of authoritarian? Okay, that's fine. Since you remember, then I think we can take it from there. So, we want to know George Orwell's perception, feelings, take about the authoritarian regime or authoritarian government, authoritarian rules. So, this is what is going to help us to examine or look and speak about a few things that can let us know or understand how he actually felt about the authoritarian regime. So please, I think you read this yesterday, but I would still love you to read it again for us from here to here. That would be nice. Very good. So the first word or keyword that I think would help us to talk about is the top. Let me reduce this. Okay, so the first keyword that I want us to consider is the totalitarianism. I think that is what we have here, totalitarianism. Very good. So I want us to look at the totalitarianism and then to the totalitarianism. Okay, so they are very similar or almost they are synonyms. Now let's talk about the second thing that I love, which is, you know, if you look at this very well, okay, if you look at this part very well, I'm sure you can see my cursor. Can you see my cursor going around and around? Very good. So if very good. So if you look at this side from here, George Orwell stated the fact that written directly or indirectly, whatever he had written or he had was against totalitarianism. Whatever George Orwell had was against totalitarianism. It means that George Orwell was against the system of government whereby the government makes decisions without allowing the people of the governance, the people of the society, the people in the country or in the community to also express themselves or share their own opinions. George Orwell was against that. George Orwell didn't want that government system, but he said that it's for democratic socialism. Democratic socialism. Now, because we have democratic socialism, I want us to talk about democracy a little bit. Democracy. Okay, so we have democracy here, and because it's one of the crucial or important keywords we have here, I just don't want us to let it go. So let's talk about Do you remember the meaning of allegory? Let me ask that first. Do you remember the meaning of? I told you like not long ago. Allegory means that it's allegory is basically any form of picture. Allegory could be a picture, it could be a poem or a song that has a hidden message. The most important thing is the hidden message. Any story, a poem or a picture, an image that has a hidden message is an allegory. And we are saying that Animal Farm is an allegory. So what does it mean? I'm asking again. Perfect. Exactly. It definitely has a hidden message in there. Very good. That is what it means, that we have a hidden message in the Animal Farm. And the hidden message, sometimes you just know, you just read the story without thinking too much about it. But in allegory, you have to at least rack your brain a little bit to get the hidden message. It means that in Animal Farm, the writer George Orwell was trying to tell us something. Despite being just a story or a novel, there are still some hidden messages in there that if we take our time, we are definitely going to find them out. Okay, let's read the last one we have here on the screen. Yeah. The last part of the slide, whenever you're ready, actually. Yeah. So you can read the last part here whenever you're ready. Yeah, of course, this is just perfect. And the reason why I'm saying that it's just perfect is that if you read the Animal Farm, you see there were a few times where there were corruptions, okay, where people used the power that they had gained, or even classes to rule against the poor people or the poor characters in the novel. There were times that some of the animals gained power, and so they were treating the other animals really bad, as they were not the same kind. And the hidden message in here is that George Orwell uses or is using the people and events of the Russian, which we have the relation from 1917 to 1923, to comment on power, class system, propaganda, corruption, and totalitarianism. These are some of the hidden messages that we can actually fish from the animal story and the Animal Farm story. And you know, there were times during the time that George Orwell was writing this novel. You know, when we read about his biography, it says that there were a time, or there were a few times, where he left his own comfort zone to live as different people with different personalities. He also volunteered to fight in the the Spanish Civil War. Okay, now the main reason why they were fighting the Civil War was to dethrone someone who was a dictatorship. Okay, a dictatorship, a rule or a governance that was dictatorship. This is also telling us something different. You know, during that time, if there is a government or a politician who is really a dictatorship, and the person decides to, let me say, rule in using the authoritarian, that means that whatever the government says is final. It's become so difficult for people to express their minds, even in songs or in stories. So if George Orwell had written it straight as he wanted to portray, it would have put his life in danger. And because of that, George Orwell used the animals as characters to portray the hidden message that he wanted people to know. That is why we call it an allegory. Because we can see clearly that because of the dictatorship, because of the authoritarian regimes that were really popular around those years or within that time, it was so hard for everybody to express their disappointment, their grief, or even, explain how bad things were. If you dare to say that, you will either be assassinated or just be killed like unnecessarily. So this was a very perfect way for George Orwell to talk about it without putting his own life in danger. And so we say that it is allegory. That is one important part. That is why we say that it is an allegory. Now let's discuss this question. Please read it for us. Please, you can read what you have on the screen. What do you think? What do you think was the reason why he didn't write it directly or formally about how bad things were? What do you think was his reason? No, we spoke about it not long ago. I actually practically spoke about it like a few minutes or maybe seconds ago. So please tell me something about it. Now we are talking about how dangerous the politicians could be. Yes. No, I'm coming. I'll give you biscuits, okay? Okay. Go and wait for me. I'm coming. We are talking about how dangerous these politicians can be sometimes. So if he had written it formally, what do you think would have happened to him? What do you think would have happened to him? If he had written it straightforward or in a formal essay, what do you think would have happened to George Orwell within that period? Hey, am I audible? Okay. What do you think would have happened to George Orwell if he had spoken about, like, in a formal or straightforward, that this was the bad things that these people, the Russians, were doing? These people are very, like, powerful people. If you talk rudely or bad, anything that, in fact, the thing, all the bad things that they are doing is true, but if you dare mention it, you'll be doomed. So I'm asking that, what do you think would have happened to George Orwell if he had written about it in a normal formal essay without putting it in a story? What do you think would have happened to him during that time, with the governments, the dangerous authoritarians, and stuff like that? What do you think would have happened to him?